It's kind of breathtaking to come from the initial design and initial pre-production aspects of ideas of what story we want to tell. And at the end, you see it all come together as this complete experience.
I'm Steph Yoon. I'm an assistant lead quest designer here on the Warcraft team. Ghost of Karesh is the latest major content update for the World Within, and here we're going to be helping Illyria and her ethereal and broker friends as they try to stop the Void Lord Dimensius from devouring Karesh and then pretty much the rest of Azeroth and everything that we know. Karesh is a name that we've heard before in World of Warcraft. We first heard about it in Netherstorm when we met the Ethereals, and they told us about their home world. They had to face Dimensius, the Void Lord, as he came to their world, and Dimensius destroyed the planet. So when we get there, hundreds of thousands of years later, Karesh is just this broken shard of a planet, and we are just trying to see what we can salvage out of this terrible situation.
Ecological succession is a feature coming in the Ghosts of Karesh content update. I'm Paul Cox, and I'm senior content designer. In Ecological Succession, you help Venari and Omtalad try to recreate the ecological system of Karesh. Now, when Karesh was destroyed, they only had so much time to gather as many creatures as they could, so many of the creatures that used to exist don't anymore. They're just gone. You, in many ways, try to help them sort of rehabilitate the creatures that were put into stasis, and also find creatures that would fit the same ecological niche of creatures that had died. It brings you to old places in Azeroth to sort of get things that have been identified as a creature that could fit one of those niches. So when you go to one of these locations to get a creature, there'll often be a small quest line there. You might meet someone that you've met in the past, you might need to solve a problem, but in many ways you'll be going there and gathering these creatures in some way, shape or form. Some in a more traditional manner and some in a slightly less mad science traditional manner. Some of the help that we'll be getting for ecological succession is from experts in the sort of animal fields. You'll be recruiting a botanist, a wildlife expert, and a smell expert. I'm sure smell expert is the real name for that sort of thing. I'm really excited for people to build up the ecodome over time. As you do these quests, you get more and more creatures in the ecodome, so you take it from an empty ecodome to a full ecodome over the course of the whole thing. I'm just showing you now what the sort of starting state of the ecodome is. You can see there are creatures around. These slatebacks are one of the original creatures from Karesh that they managed to put into stasis, and that's pretty much all that is here right now. So you've got these slatebacks, you've got these little lap bugs over here. Lap bugs are the sort of Karesh version of dogs. They were often kept as pets. And then we've got these regal thorntails that were also a native creature. But you can see that it's a fairly sparsely populated ecodome. And then this, what I'm showing you now, is sort of like what it'll look like towards the end. So you can see there are a lot more creatures going on here.
Karesh tells a story of more than just the planet, but it tells a story of the resilience of their culture and their future and how we're going to help them restore their planet. My name is Danny Merrithew. I'm the lead quest designer on WoW. When I played back in Burning Crusade, the Netherstorm area was one of my favorite zones. I loved it. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I always wanted to learn more about the Ethereals. So I'm excited for players to actually be able to learn more about them too and see where Karesh actually is. With the outdoor game loop, one of the first things the player is going to receive is the Rishi wraps. And that is basically what's going to allow them to get into phase diving, which takes you into an alternative phase. You are becoming an ethereal, you are taking on their energy form, and you're going into a phase in between Karesh and a different world. Went through a lot of iterations. You know, we decided, we were like, we need this to feel like a different space. So we ended up talking to the art team and figuring out what can we do here. So they ended up giving us lighting changes and environmental changes that really make phase diving stand out. One of the other things was the screen effect on phase diving. We figured out that that is probably one of the most important things to communicate that, hey, you're in a different environment now. So we took a lot of care to make sure that that looked right and fit the culture. The way that we really feel that it feels right is we do a lot of internal play testing, but we also partner with other teams as well. Like we work with games user research, and they actually connect with players. So players are able to tell us how they feel about what we're building, what sort of things do they like, what don't they like, what things should we be looking at to change. And that really strong partnership between us and those teams help us be able to reflect the player voice in our game. And we partner very closely with the rewards team. They're the ones that build the cloak and that progression and the renown progression and whatnot in the game. So we come up with the gameplay ideas and we run it by them, and they come up with the progression, and we kind of meet in the middle.
My inventory, I've been testing this a lot, so we have a lot of cloaks and a lot of our sockets here, and these are the ones we can swap out. So the first time we upgrade, it's gonna look like this. I'm Alejandro Grossman, a senior rewards designer on the WoW team. So the Rishi wraps are an artifact cloak players can collect in the Ghost of Karesh content update. You get the Rishi wraps, you collect a bunch of these ribbons, and they coalesce into this cloak, which is what you start wearing. And as you continue along the campaign, eventually you learn, with the help of Hashim, how to harness the ethereal energies of Karesh. And it is an item that you're gonna be able to upgrade and empower as you play along with the campaign. And this will unlock all sorts of fun things, such as enhanced features and even some cosmetics at the end that really tie in with the cloak. The effects of the Rishi wrap change depending on your role. If you're a tank, they're gonna give you a shield so that you can sustain more damage. If you're a healer, it's going to assist you in shielding some players around you. And if you're a DPS, it's just gonna create arcane explosions at your target. Players can expect their usual activities, such as Mythic Plus, raiding, some of the outdoor activities, to grant them ethereal strands, which can then be used to empower the cloak's energies. And it is thanks to Legion Remix and their re-implementation of the artifact weapons that we were able to use a lot of that tech on the Rishi wraps, because they needed some special edge cases that were really handy and really applied to what we were doing here. I think this is a very different approach to progression that we've normally had. It's much more in line of whatever you do, you're gonna get the ethereal strands. It's very straightforward in its progression. I'm very excited to see how players respond to it, and hopefully this really just feels like a boon, and it still feels like you're progressing it and you're earning it without really having to feel that you need to do certain things to be up to speed the whole time.
Hi, I'm Katrina Yepes. I'm an encounter designer on the World of Warcraft team. I was the outdoor point for Ghosts of Karesh. It's an opportunity to really collaborate and connect with other designers on the team. You're kind of stepping into their storylines and their quest lines, delivering on that fantasy and what the quest designer wants, what is fun for the player. There's two main factions of ethereals out in the wastelands of Karesh. When designing the Wastelanders, I think we wanted to lean more on the archetypes of hunters and more shamanistic ideas. They're very rooted in the natural occurrence of creatures and their homeworld. Whereas the Shadow Guard, they're stepping in to take over. So their ability kits lean more militaristic. They have a true army, they have warriors, they have established support units. We have the native creatures of Karesh, and we'll see a lot of those in the ecodomes. And lots of invading creatures because of Demensia's devouring. A lot of void creatures are swarming in from the Voidlands. So you'll see a really cool new Void Dragon world boss stepping in named Reshinor. Reshinor is a really unique creature in that they exist in both phases. So a really cool, unique hook we did for the world boss is you'll be able to phase dive to chase after him and do extra damage on him. And then when Reshinor's energy gets low, as you can see, he's gonna retreat to go find some arcane to feed on. So you're gonna have to go chase him down, and you can chase him down faster with your phase diving cloak. So he'll take off here. So you'll go ahead and click your phase warp. And now you're in untethered space, and now you'll be able to hit Reshinor again. My main responsibility with the phase diving was offering harder mode creatures. So there's a lot of mini bosses within the outdoor space, new rares to explore, creatures that were more complex in difficulty. There's a lot of little cute one-off unique storylines. One I can think about that I'm really excited about, his name is Chowder. He's a little rare that you may see running across the dunes of Karesh. And he is actually an escaped Krog who was being transported to Karesh through Tazavesh. So he's not native to Karesh. The way I work as outdoor point, I walk into a zone and view a point of interest that a quest designer or content designer has set up. And in this one instance with Chowder, He's there running across the dunes, and he has this cute little bow on his fang, and I was like, I know exactly what kind of abilities he needs. He's gonna thrash about, and he's gonna charge at you. You better dodge that or he'll knock you up. Yeah, and of course, he's gonna kiss us roughly. I think we know when we got it right when the room lights up. You know, our team will sit down to play test and experience the content for ourselves. And if everyone's smiles are lit up and everyone's having fun, I think we know we did the right thing.
I am Abigail Barber, and I am an encounter designer. In Ghosts of Karesh, I was one of many encounter designers on the new dungeon, Ecodome Aldani. In encounter design, we focus a lot of storytelling, a lot in the creatures, their names, how they are presented to you, how they attack you, even something as simple as how they approach you when you attack them. It gives us a lot of opportunity to tell a lot. Something I would say is the most new thing about this dungeon is just like the Wastelanders as a culture. This is Karesh, this is their homeland. This is the first time we are seeing the Wastelanders as a culture. And we've seen ethereals, but we haven't seen these ethereals before. To bring the dungeon to life, we do a lot of collaboration with a lot of other teams on the WoW team, and we all have pieces of like a puzzle. Every opportunity with people and characters is a time to tell a story. And even the smallest details help us fill in those gaps and help us finish that puzzle. We talk with art and they help us a lot say like, how do we want to present the story? Just the way we prop up the environment, the way we add weather effects, lighting, it all contributes to the mood, you know, the feeling of the dungeon. We work a lot with quest and narrative, and in this dungeon particularly, it's the Epilogue dungeon, so we did a lot of working with quest and narrative to tell the story, to make sure that when you go through Ghosts of Karesh, you go through the campaign, you go through the raid, and then this is your ultimate capstone moment, where everything comes together and everything you witnessed, you now see how it all culminates into this final experience at the end.
There's hundreds of game developers who worked on Ghosts of Karesh in this content update. None of this would be possible if we weren't constantly communicating and collaborating together. I think Ghosts of Karesh is unmissable because of so many twists and turns in the story, so much ramifications for what's coming in the future, such a unique environment for players to explore, and the raid is killer. I love so many of the raid encounters. I can't wait to get in there and fail at Mythic, honestly.